Listen, the finals has done something some deemed impossible and made 10 playstyles that are extremely fun to play and most importantly, new user friendly. And in this video, I'm going to break down all 4 heavy playstyles using in-game scenarios to help you get started and develop these playstyles to become even more cracked. From a player who likes to soak in bullets and be a guardian to the ever so complex high skill ceiling guru strategist, there is a lot to talk about. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So let's kick things off with the Enforcer, equipped with the winch claw, which can be used to grab objects, cash out vaults, player statues, but most importantly can be used to pull in enemy players to execute one of the most explosive combos with your weapon of choice, the Shaq 50. Now the Shaq 50 is a high caliber assault rifle that is most efficient at close range engagements. It's able to shred through all classes without question. The hip fire is surprisingly accurate, but this weapon struggles at long range engagements. But that is where the combo potential with the winch claw and the Shaq 50 comes in handy. All you need to do is winch your opponents, pull them in range, aim a little higher for headshots and shred your opponents into a pile of coins. Now moving on to the gadget selection, the first one being the Lockbolt. The Lockbolt is a great crowd control gadget that can lock enemies in place and allow you and your teammates to maximize the damage output from your weapons. Now with the Lockbolt attached, enemies will be tethered within a certain radius for a specific period of time, and even if they run behind cover post locked, unless the tether is broken, their exact locations can be revealed, which means you can trace and execute. Keep in mind the Lockbolt has a one-time use and goes straight onto cooldown, and coming off of cooldown, the Lockbolt would have to be reloaded before it can be reused. So keep that in mind before you end up with your pants down reloading your Lockbolt in front of a 3-man squad. Moving on to the proximity sensor, aka wall hacks, which gives you information on enemy locations within its 10 to 11 meter range, no matter where you are. And one of the extra nice things about this is that it's great for revealing invisible players. A fantastic gadget for giving you a heads up on enemy locations, indicating when you need to rotate, be offensive, or play defense. Now keep in mind it only reveals players within its line of sight, which means placing them in corners or sneaky areas or locations would be ideal. And finally, the gas grenade that can be used to stall the cash outs from being stolen, create space or zone out opponents, and can be used to cover potential choke points that enemies might funnel through. So in summary, as the Enforcer, your mission is to manipulate and restrict enemy movements using your CC gadgets, predict enemy locations and respond accordingly, plus zone out and create space for your team. We move on swiftly to the Demolisher, aka the author of chaos and destruction. If you're looking to lean into your destructive capabilities of the heavy class, this is the playstyle for you. With the combination of your specialization and loadouts, the Demolisher is an absolute blast to play. Starting off with your specialization, Charge and Slam, which is a special that causes you to rampage forward, dealing damage, pushing opponents, and has the ability to destroy structures. Or did I mention it has a ground pound function? All you need to do is in the middle or tail end of your Charge and Slam, do a mini jump and you would execute a ground pound. The ground pound can also be executed from height, whether from the top of a building or from lift off from a jump pad. The Charge and Slam also has combo potential within the Demolisher playstyle, but its main use within this build will be for escape and repositioning, but more on that later. Now the Demolisher is also equipped with the minigun. The minigun is a weapon that has the largest magazine size in the finals. It has the highest fire rate and is best suited for suppressive fire, destroying structures, and area denial. But another thing to note is that it comes with some inbuilt weaknesses, which are a spin-up time before you can fire the weapon, the slow movement penalty, and its reload times. Now to get the best out of the minigun within the Demolisher playstyle, firstly you will need to play around cover. In other words, spin up the minigun before exposing yourself out in the open. Secondly, with its massive magazine size, you should always preemptively fire this weapon expecting the next fight or third party. And lastly, to minimize the movement penalty and maintain its spin-up time, you will need to learn to bunny hop, which is to sprint for a short distance and jump while spinning the minigun. And in the case of where you find yourself in a jam, overly exposed and outgunned, that is where the Charge and Slam comes into play as a repositioning tool. even when outgunned and you come across some over-eagerly opponents who want to take advantage of your slow reload times, you can always surprise them with your first gadget, the RPG. Now, the RPG is a rocket-propelled grenade that can destroy structures and deal massive damage. If you're looking to breach an area or destroy structures quickly, the RPG is perfectly suited. It also combos perfectly with the charge and slam specialization. A very common combo to hit is from a jump pad, fire your RPG and slam down on them with your charge and slam, dealing massive damage. Works every time. The RPG also combos very well with the next gadget, the Explosive Mine. The Explosive Mine sticks to surfaces and creates an explosion when enemies come in contact with it. By itself, it can be used to be placed on strategic areas like the cash out or places where opponents tend to pass through so you can deal damage. But comboed with the RPG once armed, deals massive amount of damage. Just throw your Explosive Mine in the middle of bunched up teams and fire your RPG right at it for explosive entry damage. And last but not least, the Pyro Grenade, which can be used to stall the cash out from being stolen, get rid of goo used by opponents, and set walls or barricades on fire to flush out enemy teams potentially hiding behind them. So in summary, your mission as the Demolisher is to be a distraction, a disruption, and the author of chaos and destruction that is best served loud, proud, and messy. Moving on to the Guardian playstyle, which is a build that focuses on team support, protection using shields, and healing. Now, one might be tempted to believe that this type of playstyle is passive in nature, but you are seriously mistaken. It can be both defensive and offensive all at the same time. Let me explain. Starting off with the Mesh Shield, a handheld deployable barrier that blocks damage from the front, but your allies can shoot through it. It can be used while riding zip lines, jump pads, and is great for blocking damage while pushing teams, or using it as a retreat to fall back into cover when you're outgunned. The Mesh Shield has 750 health and can be juggled on and off, but keep in mind once the shield is broken, it goes onto a lengthy cooldown. A unique specialization that can be used both defensively and offensively. In a defensive scenario, can be used to block damage while your teammates are stealing the cash out, and offensively can be used to push enemies with your teammates to secure the team wipe. Now, this build comes equipped with your primary means of doing damage in form of the 50 Akimbo Desert Eagles. These dual-wielding cannons are semi-automatic in nature and deal incredible headshot damage. Now, one thing to note is that as of the making of this video, it is the singular effective long-range option for the heavy class when it comes to weapons. The only weakness it has is that its single fire rate struggles in close range engagements like the 5 to 15 meter range. But don't let that discourage you. As long as you pace your shots, your tracking and accuracy with the deagles will improve tremendously. Now, your secondary means of shielding your teammates comes in form of the Dome Shield, which is a tiny handheld half circle that projects a semi-transparent bubble and provides 360-degree protection for a few seconds. And just like the Mesh Shield, your teammates and allies can shoot through it, but your opponents cannot. Now, the ongoing tech is that in the middle of a gunfight, if you time it correctly, you can grant you and your allies extra 450 health to sustain you and your teammates to enable you win your team fights. Now, with that in mind, during close quarter scenarios, the art of shield dancing, which is going in and out of your dome to outplay your opponents, is a must learn. Now, your primary form of healing comes in form of the Healing Emitter, which is a healing orb that can be deployed and after a few seconds begins to heal you and your teammates. Now, be advised, its healing tether has a limited range, and once you walk out of it, the healing stops. It can be picked up manually or using the iPad pickup option, but you're better off picking it up manually as it goes onto a 3-second cooldown as opposed to the 15 seconds you will experience while using the iPad option. Now, one of the most correct ways to use these gadgets is to always carry a blue healing orb you can find on the map, as the heals from the blue orb and the emitter do stack and heal you a whole lot faster, almost making you and your teammates unkillable. Almost. And finally, the Frag Grenade that once deployed creates an explosion that deals high damage. It has two throw variations, the first being the overhand throw that travels longer distance and the underhand throw that has a shorter trajectory. The underhand throw is great for doing damage and catching your opponents by surprise, especially when you're being chased. Now, one of the great things about this gadget is that aside from your character shouting "grenade," there is minimal indication to show that a grenade has been deployed, which means tossing it into a chaotic scenario or confined space will do it justice. Experiencing the full potential of this build depends highly on how well you combo between each item, and the Guardian playstyle will help you win and survive team fights a whole lot longer, even in solo queue. And finally, we move on to the Strategist. With the hardest difficulty rating, the Strategist is the most challenging playstyle on this list and is one I would recommend as a beginner you unlock last when it comes to heavy builds. So we're going to focus on your entry-level basics to get you started, beginning with your specialization. The Ghoul Gun specialization is very versatile, but as a beginner, your main use for it will be to traverse buildings and gain height quickly. Defensively, it could be used to block off entrances and exits that could pose an infiltration threat to your cash out being stolen. You can also block incoming damage on the fly to grant you enough time to escape or grant you that temporary cover out in the open to get off a quick res. Now with the Strategist, your weapon of choice is the KS-23. That comes with 6 shotgun slugs. The KS-23 is a powerhouse of a shotgun. It deals significant damage to enemies and structures alike. It doesn't have your typical zoom in feature, but it does focus in enough to get your aim on point. But keep in mind its reload is extremely slow, so be mindful of reloading this weapon out in the open. Although its reload is slow, it can be interrupted in case you get jumped by enemies and you need to quickly retaliate. But remember, it only has 6 shotgun shells. Try saying that 6 times very fast, so ensure your bogey is eliminated, as missing your shots is very punishing. Now moving on to the gadgets, one of my personal favorites, the C4. A gadget that can be remotely detonated no matter where you are on the map. Its main use is to destroy structures and to stall the cash out from being stolen. Keep in mind, once deployed, it takes a few seconds to arm before you can detonate it. It can also be used offensively by tossing it into the middle of teams just like you do a grenade and detonate it for explosive damage. Next up, we have the gadget that has the highest health in the finals, the Barricade, which has 2 charges and creates a strong wall for cover. You can have only up to 4 barricades deployed at any given time in a match and can be picked up to restore a charge. Your primary use for the barricade within this build, alongside the goo, is to use it to fortify a specific location. The angle at which it can be deployed can also be adjusted by using your secondary fire button. During fortified situations, opponents can find it an absolute nightmare to navigate and push past it, which can grant you just enough time to execute a steal and secure a cash out. And finally, the smoke grenade, which comes equipped with 3 charges and is great for causing chaos and confusion. It's phenomenal in granting you cover in the wide open space and is great for executing a steal or pulling off an impossible res. So from these entry-level builds, you guys can see that heavy is not just your typical high health guardian. They can do a whole lot more, from healing to damage to insane destruction. I dare say some of the best heavies who incorporate these builds and more belong to some of the best competitive teams. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I do have a lot more guides planned coming soon. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss out on any of those videos. And until next time, your gaming craftsman is out.